Before this video starts, I just wanted to say that it's sponsored by the ARK Life clusters, which will be doing a full wipe of their main PC servers very soon, and if you want to get in on that, you can join, and the Discord will be in the description. Hey guys, what's up? It's Rev here. It's been a little while since I've made a new video, and I've been very busy and stuff, so I haven't been able to get videos out, but I decided I'd try a tier list video because I've never done one before, and I thought it'd be kind of fun. I do know a lot about the meta, and I've tested a ton of weapons, so I felt qualified to tier list all of them in a pretty well put together tier list, and it's never been done before. I believe I haven't been able to find a video on weapon tier lists, so I think I'm the first one to do it, hopefully. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel. We're so close to 10k. We're like basically at 10k, so you guys can kind of consider this as a 10k special. It's a very long video, so feel free to skip. It's a lot. I explain about a lot of the weapons, so if you want to see what I say about specific weapons, you can just skip to those points where I'm touching the weapon, and you can find out what I say about it. But I hope you guys enjoy. It's pretty long, and I probably ramble a lot, but that's kind of what a tier list is. And I wanted to be thorough because there's a lot of weapons in this game, and a lot of them are a lot better than people actually think. So I'll let you guys just watch the tier list now, because it took a while to make, and this shit's gonna take probably 2 or 3 hours to process, and I can't wait to sit and wait all that time. Alright, so I guess the first weapon on the list is the assault rifle. I was kind of hoping that this one wouldn't be first, because I kind of wanted to rate it in correlation with the other weapons, but the assault rifle, it isn't that bad, honestly. If you've actually used it, I've heard of people using this on official fairly to pretty good effect, actually. And I wouldn't be surprised if you could actually get some nice kills with it. The issue is it has believe it has a bugged reload where the reload doesn't happen most of the time. But if you bola somebody and you get this off and just fucking shoot the whole mag into their head, they're probably gonna die. And it would probably kill faster than most weapons. So I'd say that it's B tier, honestly. I think that's a fair rating. It's just not used very much, but I honestly think it's underrated. You could definitely make use of this. Bolas, all right. Bolas are insane actually, because the thing about bolas is you can bola a player, and as soon as you bola them, basically any of these weapons on this list can actually be used to kill them. Straight up, bolas are like the enabler of every weapon in the game. So if they're definitely S tier because bolas are insane. They're insane. If you can land a bola, they're dead. And you can also use bolas on tames, obviously. They got good PvE use, good in PvP as well. So definitely excellent weapon. Obviously, you want to have bolas on you at all times. This is a god tier, fucking overpowered weapon. These are insane, actually. Probably best weapon in the game, honestly. Maybe not, but these are really good. Bows, just regular primitive bow. Okay, well, bows can fire flame arrows, so that makes them usable, right? But they are a primitive weapon, and in primitive PvP, bows are probably great, but in reality, bows against normal PvP, they're completely useless. So honestly, I feel like I want to put it in B tier, but it's probably a C tier weapon because it's just completely not viable. I wish it was. For flame arrows, you can definitely kill someone with flame arrows, but that's the same for any weapon, any bow weapon. So it's definitely out of all the bows, it's probably the worst one. But that makes sense because it's only costs 10 wood or something, 10 wood and 50 fiber, so it's really easy to get this. So it shouldn't be that high on the list. C4. C4, now it's not technically classed as a weapon. It's probably classed as an explosive, but it actually is definitely a weapon. C4 is really good, actually. Whether you're C4 trapping or whether you're putting C4 down on a player who's boled, you could kill anybody with this, regardless of their armor. Well, if they have more armor, you're going to need more C4, but C4 is actually quite good. I want to put it in S tier, but I mean, the thing about C4 traps is it's really dependent on how well the other player performs. So if somebody doesn't walk into the C4 trap, then your C4 trap is completely useless. So I think I'm gonna put this in high A tier. You could probably argue that it's S tier, but uh, it's good. Like it's definitely good. Definitely not bad. You can kill a lot of teams with the C4 as well. But yeah, boomerang. Now boomerang's interesting because in terms of primitive PvP, the boomerang's actually one of the kings, dude. Boomerang is actually nuts. This thing actually has comparable range to the pike, which doesn't make any sense, but it does. Um, that's just the melee swing. People don't even remember like know about the melee swing, but the melee swing is actually the biggest part of the boomerang. The melee swing does so much damage. It is like it does insane damage. If you're a melee character, this is a one tap to like any player in hide. It's insane. This thing does so much damage. It has a huge range. The hitbox is like massive. This thing is really messed up. I but because it's just not good against anything but prim PvP, I'll have to put it in B tier. Like it's where it's useful, it's really good, but where it's useless, it's completely useless. You know, like you can't use this viably outside of primitive PvP. Like it actually completely doesn't work. It is completely dysfunctional outside of primitive PvP. So it is the king like S tier in primitive PvP, but in normal PvP, I'd say it's not that great. Chainsaws. All right, chainsaws are actually people don't actually know about this, but chainsaws do a lot of damage. You can literally strip the armor off of anybody by just drilling them with this thing for a bit, especially if you have high melee. Um, it's it has like a really fast attack thing, so it's like firing off really fast. So that kind of makes it more efficient because you don't have to, land one swing. You can just hold it down. You can like rip through a shield with this. So if someone's blocking your melee swings and you whip out a chainsaw, you just go, rip through that shield, and actually it will be quite good. But it is a melee weapon over after all. But to be honest, it's viable. It's actually viable. I've used it before, and to pretty decent effect. It's definitely viable, and I think it'll go B tier. You might be able to put it in A tier, but I mean, when I'm thinking about the C4 being in A tier, it's really not as good as a C4. But it is a great thing for harvesting like ovis and trees as well. So it's got really good PvE usage as well. Charge lanterns. All right. It's not. It's actually. I wouldn't class it as a weapon, but the game actually classes charge lanterns as a weapon. I suppose in PvP, if there's like some battle on aberration, you might be able to justify using a charge lantern. I'm assuming the range is actually really far. I think it actually has a really far range. It basically what it does is if you don't know what it is, it just shoots light in the direction like you're holding. Like if you hold it out, it just shoots light in that direction. So you can basically illuminate any things like reapers. Actually, that's literally the only thing that you'll ever use it on. So if there's nobody using a reaper, this thing's completely useless. You could probably justify using it on ab, but it's honestly F tier. It's just so garbage. It's just really bad. Honestly, just put it in your grinder and get the metal because it's just grind that shit. Don't even bother with like using it. Cluster nades. Okay, I I don't remember if these got did these get nerfed or were they? I don't remember. If they got nerfed, there was an issue where they were getting duped on official. I don't know if it's still happening, but I swear they either got nerfed or all the duped ones got removed or they patched a duping method or something. But these used to be used like to just destroy towers. Like you'd throw them, you'd tech suit above the tower and just throw these down. You'd have like 500 of these and you just chuck them straight down and just delete everything. These were pretty insane, but against players, like if you can get them in a corner and hit them with all the explosions, I'm sure it could actually deal some good damage. And as far as a rating tool is, it's pretty decent. I don't know if it's still as good as it used to be, but I think you could justify putting this probably B tier. But because it's a grenade, it's like you're not gonna really just throw it at somebody in PvP because it's not really that type of game. Compos, compos though, on the other hand, are very useful. I don't remember if it's that they either deal so much damage that they're like I don't know. Do they have? I don't remember if they have a armor penetration value or if they're just really really high damage. But I think they have armor penetration. Either way, combos are really really nasty, and the reason why they're so good is because they deal an insane amount of damage to players, especially if you hit them in the head. It's like 3 times damage straight to the head. It's gonna like it's pretty much a two tap if you do it properly. The problem with combos though, and with pretty much any melee weapon, or not melee weapon, any projectile based weapon, is the hit reg. Like combos just don't register like they register like 30% of the hits, and that's kind of an issue. But I can't really hold that against the weapon because it's just a problem with ARK. Though it's definitely worth noting that it has a hit reg issue, but it's not gonna really change anything. Definitely put this in S tier. It's an S tier. You could barely see it. You could barely see it on the tier list. But yeah, a compo is here. Uh, it's definitely really good. It's great against damaging tames. Great against players. Hitting a moving player with this is going to be a lot harder though because half the time it's not going to register. Even if you aim well, it's still not going to reg. So that's my problem with it. That's why I don't like it. But it's still definitely a good weapon. But crossbows. Okay, in terms of PvP, like using it primitively, it's great, but in normal PvP, it's not very good. However, you can use flame arrows with them, and with a capped crossbow with flame arrows, I believe that's the highest damage you can do with a flame arrow. I think that's the best weapon to use. At least they have like the best. It's easier to aim them with a crossbow, and they shoot further. I'm pretty sure. Either way, the crossbow is nice. It's definitely a good weapon. It's also, you know, you can put tranks in it. You can shoot it underwater, which is nice. I think if you combine the usage in PvE and like how good it is with flame arrows, you could probably put it in. Oh wait, no, I'm forgetting grapples. Actually, crossbow is definitely S tier because of the fact that you could put grapples in them. So that's literally like the most important thing ever. If you put grapples in the crossbow, that's insane. Like that's overpowered. Grapples are insane. Yeah, I'll talk about grapples for a bit. Like grapples are like overpowered because if you have a weight character, right? Think about this. You can literally click on anybody and anybody's tame and they just can't move. They just can't move. It's that simple. Not to mention you can escape, you know, picks, you can escape many situations. I don't know, you're broken bones and you need to get somewhere, you can grapple around. You can use it to get over things. It's just like OP. You can grapple people into your turrets. There's so many usages of this. It's definitely S tier. Like you can, there's literally people who don't even bring weapons and just use a crossbow with the grapples and a weight character, and it definitely works. It's good. You only need to hit one grapple, so for sure, definitely good weapon. Okay, cruise missiles are literally like nukes. You put this on your hotbar and you just equip it and you shoot one rocket. And these things are insane raid tools. They can deal absurd amounts of damage to structures, and they pretty much one-shot players. I'm pretty sure they one-shot players off tames too. So, and in PvP they don't really get used, but as a raiding tool, these are excellent. These are definitely excellent. I'd probably put them in A tier. Just the fact that they're insane, like these things are really expensive to be running around with. Not something that you want to take to, you know, regular PvP. You could definitely get kills with it. Like theoretically, if you had them, like if you just had like tons of them, you could definitely use, like, it would be a really good weapon. But they're really expensive, so that's why I'm putting them in A tier. They're also like they leave you really vulnerable when you shoot them, so it's not the best weapon in the game for sure. Cryopods. All right, I definitely gotta put these in S tier because the thing about cryopods is they are so versatile. You can either use them to move a tame to a spot, or, you know, use them for breeding. There's endless PvE uses. There's so many I can't list them. In PvP, you can throw out so many different pocket tames like Gigas. You can throw out, I don't know, even like you can throw out the weirdest shit and it could still be helpful. There's so many pocket tames you could use that just completely change the fight. It can just turn everything in your favor. Whether it's, I don't know, the Gigas, Trudons, A flyer, you could throw out a flyer and just mount it to get away. You could chuck out like pretty much anything. Pocket Bloodstalker probably works too. Like if it's an aggressive, it probably works pretty well. So many things you could use. Anyway, prods. Prods. Okay, there's this sort of myth. People think that prods are great with melee characters, but prods don't actually scale melee damage. So basically, what you have is this thing that one shots people in prim flak. That's pretty much all it does. Even if it's like capped, a capped prod isn't gonna kill, even get close to one tapping somebody in good flak. I've tested it. It's really bad. Like this thing is actually really trash. In terms of like primitive PvP, it's like amazing because it's got the range of a spear and it one taps. But in terms of normal PvP, it's really useless. So I'm gonna put it in C tier because of that. But just because it's useful in primitive PvP, that I'm putting it in C tier. Fab pistol. Okay, Fab pistol. They definitely don't get used a lot. I don't think I've actually ever seen anybody use one, but I have heard of people using them. And just like all the fabricated weapons, they're actually pretty decent. It does a good amount of damage. It fires very fast. Um, I think the ammo's cheaper than like Fab Sniper ammo, so these are definitely viable weapons. But I wouldn't put it. I think it would be better. It would definitely be better than the assault rifle, but I don't think it's just as good as the assault rifle. It's definitely better, for sure. You might be able to justify putting it in A tier, but I've never used it enough to really confirm if it's that good or not. For Fab Snipers, alright, people are gonna hate me for this, but Fab Sniper is like definitely not S tier. It's definitely not. Thing about Fab Snipers is, yeah, you can be God with aim, but truth be told, most people are gonna be mounted on a tame, and if your aim is amazing against a good player who's on a tame, it's not gonna really matter. They're not gonna be able to. You're not gonna be able to do much with a Fab Sniper in the end. Like you can really deal a lot of damage if they're standing still, but that's like any weapon can do that. So it's great for range, like harassing people in like unarmored tames like wyverns, like low level tames like PTs and stuff. You can actually like deal a lot of damage out of range, which is awesome. But on its own, it's not that great. Like it's a good weapon. It's a good weapon. I would say it's a good weapon. It's definitely it has a place in the meta for sure. And I'm putting it in A tier because it's just not as reliable as other weapons. There's just situations where you can't get a kill with this thing. You could have really good aim. Like you think about it, even aimbotters are fairly easy to escape sometimes. And they're always using a Fab Sniper for the most part. So think about that, right? If you can escape from an aimbotter using this weapon, a normal player using this weapon, it's not that great. But it's definitely the best, or one of the best, fabricated weapons. Flamethrowers. Okay, flamethrowers are really strong. Really strong. They're definitely S tier. We put them in S tier because as a weapon itself, it's actually very powerful. You can burn mounted players. It applies a lot of pressure to somebody in PvP. Like, you have to drink med brews, you have to have beer, and if you don't, you're dead. It's great with a movement speed character. Um, really powerful. The damage doesn't really matter that much. So it's just all around a really great weapon. If you're unlucky and it's raining, then it really sucks. But I mean, what can you do? Game just makes no sense. Um, Grenades are like, ugh. As a primitive raiding tool, they're nice, but if you just tamed an Arthropleura, it would be way better. So I'm gonna put these. There's no way you can kill somebody with a grenade, man. Like the sound it sounds like a. It's so loud. When this thing goes off, it's really loud. Like, just listening to it bounce, it's like ding ding ding. Like you have so much time to get away. I'm gonna put It's going in F tier. It's a grenade. It's shit. No one fucking uses grenades. Alright, it's not good. I don't care what anyone says. It's going in F tier. Harpoons. Oh man, harpoons, it's sad because harpoons are like supposed to be really good at what they're meant for, but they're actually just not. The thing is, though, it does a lot of like these. If you actually have a high damage harpoon, it does a lot of damage to things in the water. If something is in the water, it deals more damage. It doesn't matter if it's a water tame or a land tame. If it's in the water, it deals more damage. But it's really hard to aim this thing, and it suffers from the same hit reg issues as the compo. And the ammo is so much more expensive. The weapon itself is so much more expensive, and you are restricted to using it in the water. You can use it on land, but it has like insane drop. You can't use it outside of like 10 meters away from somebody, so it's really not that good. This is not a great weapon. It's definitely going in F tier for sure. Heavy turrets. Now, the reason I'm putting heavy turrets in here is assuming if it's a battery heavy turret, because it's technically a weapon, I guess. You would put it down in PvP to use it to defend you or to defend your raid or make a trap with it. Either way, heavy turrets are quite good. They so if they're not offensively, they're not good. They're solely defense. Like you can't use it offensively, really. You could pull somebody to your turret, but alone, that's just like, but the turret by itself is defensive. If you use it with another weapon, you could combo it to make it offensive, but by itself, it's definitely a defensive tool, which doesn't make it bad. It's definitely good, great thing to have, but it's like you have to defend it. You can't just, it defends you, you defend it. And it can be soaked. But it's pretty powerful. Definitely pretty powerful. It's a great area denial tool. I want to put it in S tier, but I think it's only going to be in A tier. Because it is good. Battery turrets are really good. But if somebody sees you have a battery turret down, they can just not fight you. A smart player will just be like, he's got a battery turret. I'm just not going to fight him. Right? And that's all it is. Just don't fight them. Water mines. Okay, water mines are actually interesting. These things deal so much damage. It's actually insane how much damage these deal. If you get blown up, you're actually getting one shot by this. If you get hit by this, you're getting one shot. The problem with them is they move so slow. They move really slow, but they deal so much damage. If you can bait someone into one of these, they're dead. Like, it could be really great for dealing with stalker players. If they're not paying attention. These things sort of sneak up on you. They're pretty quiet, and they just beep right as they get to you, and they blow you up. They deal so much damage. It's a guaranteed one shot if you're in anywhere close to the AoE. I honestly, I put them in like, consider this as like in between A tier, B tier. They're definitely viable, but very situational. They can work. IEDs, on the other hand, are an explosive trap that completely doesn't work. These things actually just don't function. If you run into an IED, it's gonna do like no damage. These things deal fucking shit all for damage. And you have to have two of them to actually make a trap with that. And they're pretty obvious, actually, if you have them down. I haven't really used them that much, but I've run into them before and they did like nothing. You can't even really use them. There actually is a trick where you can use them for raiding by picking them back up again. You just put them down, pick them up, and you can damage a wall. So it can be useful, but really, in reality, it's just not that good. Lances, now I've used Lance in a video. If you've not seen it, I've definitely used a Lance, but yeah, it can work when it does, but when it doesn't work, oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. The Lance had potential. The Lance actually had potential to be a very meta weapon. The problem with it is that it doesn't work while sprinting, or sorry, it doesn't work while walking, and it doesn't work while standing still. They should have just made it so that you don't have to sprint to use this thing, because you also can't jump when using it. If you jump, it goes back up and you can't knock somebody off with it. So that makes it really, really useless. I wish it was better. It could have been better if they designed it properly, but as it is right now, it's not very good. Long necks. They deal a lot. They deal, I think, a significant more damage, significant, significantly higher damage than the Fab Sniper, but it's only one shot. For taming, they're great, but in terms of PvP, for primitive PvP, they're excellent. Definitely excellent tool. I'd say I'd probably take the simple pistol over it, but the long neck is quite good. I put it in. I mean, I'd put it somewhere B to C tier, just because of the fact that it actually does a lot of damage. You could still deal a fuckload of damage to a player in good flak with it, but you only get one shot, so you're shooting them once and they're just gonna run away or kill you. Yeah, I guess we'll put it in B tier. It's definitely better than these weapons. Yeah, we'll put it in there. That's not terrible. Hatchet. There's a lot of tools in here that I'm just gonna have to rank really quick. Hatchet's is like the staple grapple cutter, so I can't really put it that low. I'm gonna put it up here because it is a grapple cutter, right? This is the grapple cutter pretty much everyone's gonna use. And as a weapon though, it's not very good. But because of the fact that it's the main grapple cutter, you gotta put it somewhere up here because grapple cutters are very important in PvP. Pickaxe, it's just damage. It doesn't do anything else. I don't think you can cut a grapple with it, so I'm gonna put it in. Gonna put it in F tier. It's useless. Aside from farming metal, obviously it's good, but out of that, it's just not very good. Sickles are definitely more useful. I think they deal more damage than all of the other tools. I believe they deal more damage. Actually, I don't know. They have probably a higher DPS than the pike. But, I mean, they swing pretty fast. They harvest fiber, which is also nice. Nice to have one on you, actually. They also cut grapples, so they're probably a better grapple cutter than the hatchet, to be honest, if you have one. Because they actually have more uses. You know, you can actually harvest fiber if you need it for like repairing something, or I'd say it has better utility in my opinion. I would rather use a sickle, but I think they're a bit heavier. I don't really think it matters, to be honest. They're tools. I don't really think anyone cares that much. Oil jars, underrated, really underrated. People don't even remember that this thing exists. It basically, when you throw it, it makes a little oil pool on the ground, and you can actually light it on fire. And that oil pool basically refreshes the flame over and over and over again. So anyone standing in there is getting like a full burn, like as if you're holding a flamethrower on them the whole time. That's what this oil jar does. So if you put this oil underneath them, light it on fire, and bowl them in the oil, or in not in that order, but basically you bowl them and hit them with this, they'll die. It does so much damage. Even if you beer, you're still gonna die. I tested it. You would still die. Plus, you can throw multiple of them down, stack them up, and deal more damage. These things are gross. They're actually good, and they don't weigh much. They're really cheap. They're underrated for sure. I'll put them up here. I can't put them in A tier, but they do actually deal a lot of damage. I want to put them higher, but fuck it. We'll put them in A tier. It's actually a good weapon. Actually a good weapon. Um, pike. Not that bad, actually. The pike actually isn't that bad. If you're using a Bloodstalker and you're a melee character, you can actually pike somebody without dismounting, which has its uses. It has a slower swing speed than every other melee weapon, but the range allows you to do some interesting things. With a cap pike, you can actually kill somebody with this really quickly. I think it's like 5 or 6 hits with good melee, and you can actually break a helmet off and kill somebody. Quite good. Also, it's nice because you can actually aim for the hitboxes. Because other melee weapons, you can't really just like aim for the head. The hitboxes are so messed up. It's just not gonna happen. With the pike, I believe it has a smaller range, or like a smaller, like a point, right? So you're gonna be able to hit those hitboxes a lot more accurately. So I'm gonna put it above these weapons, above these tools, because it's actually useful. Dark nades are really good, but you can equip a hazmat if you're fast enough to negate this. Combine it with another weapon to shoot somebody in the head once they put a hazmat on, and it's a really good combo. Alone, by itself, I'd put it in high A tier. This is a really good weapon. Definitely, definitely one of the best weapons in the game, I'd say. Okay, shotguns. They're basically like the Fab Sniper, but way better at dealing damage to tames. So if you have like a really annoying wyvern and you want to get rid of him, or especially with mechs, these are great against mechs. You can pop out with your shotgun and deal an assload of damage. It's like the signature bossing weapon. Really good weapon. I want to put it in high A tier as well. Probably would put it better. I would rather have a shotgun than a Fab Sniper, to be honest. Shotgun actually, see, the shotgun suffers from similar hit reg issues to, despite it being a hit scan weapon, it has hit reg issues. I don't know why, but half the time you can blast somebody at point blank and only like 2 pellets hit and it does nothing. But if you get all the pellets off, it can actually deal a good amount of damage. It does a lot of durability. It's really hit or miss. The thing is, I've shot this at some dude and one shot him before. But I've also shot it at a guy like 3 or 4 times, and he didn't die. So it's kind of like, against players, that's not that great. If you shoot a shield with it, it'll break it really quick. So it's great against breaking armor and like shields. Definitely great against wyverns and like flyers and harassing people at a distance. It's awesome. For bosses, it's great. So it's definitely, I think A tier. It definitely belongs in A tier. For rocket launchers, they're a great raid tool. You know, rocket running is insane. Really, like, you need this. Staple raid tool. In PvP, homing missiles are a thing, but they have a really short range. If you use a homing missile, it doesn't really, like, the range is so low that there's no way that someone's not going to see you trying to lock on with it. It has a really low range. But the rockets do deal a lot of damage. I'd probably put it in really low A tier because of the fact that it's a really good raid tool, but in PvP, it's not the best. The normal shotgun, I don't know if this is true or not, but I can't really find out right now. But I do believe that this shotgun is like a double barrel shotgun. It does more damage than the pump shotgun, but it suffers from the same problems as the pump shotgun. So you're gonna have really bad hit reg, and with the slow fire, like the slow reload, this thing is gonna really just it's not gonna do much. It's really heavy, a lot of metal to craft it. They're not fantastic, honestly. I probably put it. I mean, I'd rather use this over a bow, but it's it's not great. It could be a lot better. A simple pistol, on the other hand, out of all the primitive weapons, it's probably the best one. I'd say if you have good aim with this thing, it's probably the best one. So I'll put it in B tier. You can also put a scope on it, so you can actually make it really nice with a high damage and good aim. If you have good aim with this thing, you can actually be really good. Oh, the club. Yeah. It's going in S tier. As much as I have a bias, allow me to explain my reasoning for putting the club in S tier, okay? If you are melee, this weapon is very powerful and it's probably the best melee weapon in the game. But if you are not melee, this thing is F tier because it's completely useless. You're not going to deal anything to anybody with this thing. It's just going to be it's ass. But out of all weapons in the game, this thing has the highest effective DPS. You can kill somebody in 2 hits. It's like 0.5 seconds, they're dead. Not dead, but knocked out. But being knocked out pretty much means you're dead. So that definitely makes the club one of the better weapons in the game. But the fact that it's a melee weapon is what holds it back. However, if somebody's bowled and they're blocking with a shield, weapons like the combo and other weapons like flamethrower, they can suffer. Like, if the person's really on point with their shield and with hit reg, I know you can shoot someone in the foot with the combo, I'm aware of that. But the thing is, hit reg is really messed up. You can still shoot someone in the foot, but if they're jumping, and even if you hit them in the foot, sometimes it's not going to reg. I've seen many people escape a full bowl of duration with like 5 dudes shooting at them, and it's probably because hit reg is bad. With clubs, hit reg doesn't really pose a threat to you. So, like, clubs are fantastic if you're melee and if you're in the right situation. If you're using them properly, clubs have probably the fastest time to kill out of any weapon in the game. But if you're using it wrong, it is complete and utter garbage. So that's why I'm putting it up here, because it has the potential to be very powerful. And if the user is, proficient with it, it doesn't take a lot of mechanical skill to use, like the Fab Sniper, but it does take a lot of, I guess, what would you say, like, decision making to make it work. If you are in the right spot when you make it works really, really well. Slingshots. Slingshots. Oh man, they don't really do anything. It's like 0.2 torpor, even if it's like a really good slingshot. I don't even know how you get a good slingshot, but if you had one, I'm pretty sure it would still do nothing. For taming, it's alright. Like, for taming like trikes and shit early on, it's probably decent. But even then, I'm like, oh, this thing fucking sucks. I'll put it in C tier. It's definitely going in C tier. Not the worst thing, but it's got some use, but it's just really not that great. Spears, the problem is they break. So I'm going to put them in here as well. They break really quickly, like randomly, so they can really just like fuck you over. The throwing of the spear is like, the hit rate's awful. It pretty much like, it actually never hits. I swear I throw a spear at something standing perfectly still, and half of the time it's not going to rag. And if the target's moving, dude, 10% chance of hitting. No joke. 10% of, it's just not going to hit. The hatchet, the pickaxe, it's the first tool you make, It's got to hold a place in everyone's heart. Don't pick. It's just, it's S tier. No, I'm joking. It's, in terms of what it is, I'd rate it above the spear because it's actually useful. Very useful. I mean, you need it to get the spear, so everyone's needed to craft this at some point. The hatchet would go above it, because getting hide is very important. So I'll put them like that. That's probably a fair rating. Well then, I guess, but the reason why this is below the stone pick is because the pick on its own is outclassed by Anki's, whereas this is a progression tool. You need this at some point to progress. But this, I mean, yeah, you kind of need it to progress, but it's like, it's not as, I should probably move it, actually. I should probably move it up. But I put it below the stone because of the fact that you just need this to get pretty much everything in the game. Like, this is the starter tool. Swords. Swords are awesome, actually. The damage is really high. If you have a cap sword and you're a melee character, if you get picked by things like a griffin or a wyvern, you can actually slaughter them. If you pick a melee character and he starts swinging that shit, you better fucking drop that motherfucker. He's gonna kill you in like 5 seconds, no joke. Griffins, even the best cloner griffins will die in a few seconds to a good sword with high melee. You should be scared of this. It's a good weapon. I wouldn't put it in S tier, but any melee character is always going to want to carry one of these, for sure. Definitely an essential tool. It's also a grapple cutter, so you could replace this with your hatchet and use that instead. It's got high DPS. You can kill people with it too. You don't have to kill only tames. It's actually great at killing players as well. So people think, oh, if I put Fortitude in, I'm going to be safe from all these melee characters. Not really. They can still kill you with anything else, right? These swords will do pretty much the same thing as the club. Just a bit slower, but they could just sit there and wail on you with the sword. If you start blocking with a shield, he'll rip through the shield. Yeah, they're pretty damn good. Oh, to sneeze. Okay, tech grenade launcher. These are busted OP right now, honestly. If you combine them with gravity nades and tech nades, Oh my god, it's so dumb, dude. You basically like put the I've actually never used one, but I've seen how they work, and you load the gravity nade in first or something, and then you put the other nades in so that when you shoot, it pulls them into the middle with the grenade, and they all blow up. It's kind of dumb, but these are very expensive weapons to be carrying around on you. Very expensive weapons. I'm putting it in A tier for that. It's very strong, but it's just that they're really expensive to use. You can't really rely on them like that. It's just so expensive. I'll see the Ingram's annoying to get because I think you have to kill a motor for it. It's annoying. It's a good weapon. It's a really good weapon, but it's so expensive. Not a cheap thing to be really like you're getting like little kills here and there with a weapon that it's insanely expensive to use. The cost at which you're getting these kills with, like if we put like the cheapest weapon to get kills with, I'd probably put the either like the torch or the club up there, right? They're like the cheapest weapon for the highest reward. The tech grenade launcher is like the complete opposite side of the spectrum. It's like the highest expense for the lowest reward, but it is really strong. So if you do kill someone with it, it's like if you hit someone with that shit, they're just dead. I can't really put it any lower than that. Tech swords are really powerful. If you're a melee character, you can rip through tech quets or racer box, like any box on the back of a dino, you can rip through that pretty quickly. Especially in cave damage, you'll just like one tap a wall pretty much. You can also effectively fly with them. There's a glitch where you can cancel the right click if you try and build any structure. It could be anything. If you hold right click, fly into the air, and then on your hotbar, I don't know, you basically press on stuff like building, like I don't know, like a tent, a foundation, anything, like a standing torch. It could be literally any structure, and you will cancel the explosion at the end, and you'll just keep flying in that direction and keep your momentum, and you can keep spamming that over and over again. I believe great in the lunar zone actually, but on its own, the tech sword is actually excellent. Really good weapon. You could farm them off a mission as well, but they eat through element like crazy. I believe they have a glitch where they eat like 20 element or something. Not actually 20 element, but they do eat a lot of element. Definitely A tier. Expensive weapon, but it's it's definitely got its use in the meta. It's useful. Tech claws. Oh, they went so wrong with tech claws. I was so excited when these came out, and I was so disappointed when they nerfed them. Because the issue was they were really powerful because they would delete the shit out of any structure really quickly. But that was not the nerf. They nerfed it so hard, man. Like they actually made it so that it does less damage, like, significantly less damage than the tech sword. So it's pretty much useless to use it. If you block with this thing, that was the gimmick. It can block. Well, it's a tech weapon. It can block. It increases speed. Yeah, I mean, sure, it's okay. I want to put it in like B tier to be honest, but it's such a bad weapon. Like this thing is so bad. It has like an armor penetration thing where you shred the enemy becomes shredded and they take more damage, but to run up to somebody and do that, it's not worth it. It's just such a bad weapon. It does no damage. It used to be good, but they just nerfed it into the ground. I don't even know why it exists anymore. They really should improve it. The fact that it's still bad. I have a video. I don't remember where it is. I think it's on my Discord. You could probably find it. It's me comparing the DPS of the tech sword and the tech claws. The tech sword's just way higher. I guess the advantage of the tech claws is you don't need to have element on you, so you can just transfer them across servers. It's pretty good. Gravity nades, great rating tool. You can use them to like launch racers up big things. You can launch. Yeah, you can use it to get soakers into weird places. You can also use it to kill people with the grenade launcher. So I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it in A tier. Actually, I'm gonna put it in B tier because by itself it's not very good, right? By itself it's not very good. Also, I'm gonna move this down to here. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so it's not that good by itself, but it can be used effectively. As a raid tool, it can be nice, and as like a supportive tool, it's good. But on its own, it doesn't really can't really kill anybody with it. But pair it with something else, and it could be very powerful. The Technade does a lot of damage, but I would put it lower. I'd definitely put it lower. These are expensive to just be chucking around like the normal grenades down here. So I'm gonna put this. Yeah, I'm gonna put this in high C tier. Combine it with the grenade launcher and it's good. But by itself, I would never use this by itself. Railguns are nuts. Okay? Railguns are nuts. I would put it in S tier, but the problem with railguns is well, first off, actually you can get a ton of them from a mission. So they're really easy to get. Actually, they're quite probably yeah, S tier, honestly. They're S tier. In PvP they're not great. You can't just bring this out in PvP and kill someone with it. But they deal a ton of durability damage. It's like gonna one tap your helmet, and it does it through walls. And you can shoot people through eraser boxes. You can kill skiffs in 2 hits. You can do a lot of things with the railguns. So it's definitely like bottom of S tier, I'd say. Not the worst. It's definitely one of the best weapons in the game, I'd say. Definitely one of the best. It's solid. For its purpose, it's very good. You might be able to put this in A tier, honestly. But I feel like it's so important in the game to have this as an existing weapon that it's definitely got to be S tier. And for tech rifles, it's probably the same. Tech rifles are such a useful tool in PvP right now that you could really, I mean, yeah. Yeah, they're really good. Tech rifles are really good. Raiding, it's essential to have that. These are used in so many raids. Like every fucking raid, you have to use these, so they're really good. They actually deal a lot of damage to players too. If you shoot someone with this shit, it's gonna do a lot of damage. They actually deal a good amount of damage. They kill tames pretty easily. They actually kill people off tames, so they're quite good against skiffs, like the railgun, like all tech weapons. This it's against skiffs, it's killer. Actually, it really rips through a skiff. If you whip this shit out while being picked by a skiff, that skiff's gone. Bye. See ya. This thing's really good. Okay, tech shoulder cans are actually dumb. They're so overpowered. If you've ever encountered, like, you might not have encountered somebody with one of these, but if you do, I will tell you that it is so unfair. These things are really unfair. They are like aimbot. They actually deal so much damage. It's like half your HP with one shot. They eat up element, but that's really not that bad. Because most people are going to be really rich with these things. So I'm going to put them right here. Because it's like free damage. You just put it on and it's like, fucking, we just win. You put it on and you win. Like in foot PvP, theoretically, right? Now, foot PvP is a bad example because foot PvP is kind of like irrelevant, but if you put it on during foot PvP, you just insta win because you just hold up a shield the whole time and let your tech cannon fucking shoot them. And it will kill them because it's insane. It does so much damage. Combine it with a flamethrower and you literally win. It's so good. Very expensive, but it's very good. Definitely a god tier weapon. Torches. I'll put them in A tier, actually. Torches are really great multi-tools. The damage early on for primitive PvP is respectable. You can like 2 or 3 shot somebody with a torch. It takes a while, but you can really actually kill somebody with a torch. And at destroying plant Y, it's probably the best weapon in the game for that. People use crossbow with flame arrows, but personally that's way too slow for me. The benefit of the torch is you can hold the shield up while you break. You can have like a shield out at the same time, so you can block combo shots or dino bites or whatever at the same time and then break the Y. If you have like a good torch and you are a high melee character, you can one tap plant Y. So if you get stuck in plant Y, you just insta break it and then you run away. And if you get stuck in more Y, you just break it again. It's really nice, actually. Really solid. I put it honestly like here in A tier. It's quite good. Quite good. Now all these things, like, are kind of getting out of line. Like, you could probably arrange some of these in a better order, and it would make more sense. I'll try and do that, but it's hard to sort of compare all of them together. So you can kind of consider all weapons in A tier to be the same and all weapons in B tier to be the same. I'm kind of trying to order them a little bit in terms of what I think is better, but it's kind of like messed up. It's hard to place these, you know? So I can't really think. But the last one is the whip, and it's for sure like S tier, and I would put it in high S tier. Something like probably like this. Yeah, like right here. Such a useful thing. Alright? It is so good. The whip is just useful in many situations. You can disarm somebody's weapon with it. You can dismount a player with it. You can whip yourself out of a pick with it. So good. You can pick up items with it. Great for, like farming, slot capping, all that sort of stuff. Generally, like all around, a really nice tool. Very cheap to have on you. Essential. You have to have them. And they're a weapon because it deals damage. So I can actually put it on the list. It actually deals damage, and it does like 0.2 damage. But that's not why. The damage is not why. It has no say on where it goes on the list. It's purely the utility. So it's a really good utility weapon. But yeah, I think everything on the tier list, I think everything's rated fair, decently fair, you know? I try to order these things, but you could definitely place some things higher and some things lower. Like, you might put the bow up here. Like, you could probably argue putting the bow up there. You could probably argue putting rocket launcher up higher in this list because, it's actually a really useful raid tool. You could probably arrange a lot of these things based on how good or your experience with them. Maybe your thing is using the assault rifle and you know all about it and you compared it to all the weapons in the past and you would put it in high A tier because you know it's better than the Fab Sniper. Then honestly, leave it in the comments and tell me about it because I like learning about this game and new things that I didn't know. So if you think that something's better or worse, I like to know that. So leave it in the comments if you disagree or you agree or you think something should be higher. Leave a comment on it and I'll read them all probably. And we can have a civilized debate in our Discord, which will be on screen now and in the description. Hope you guys enjoy this tier list. I might do another one for tames in the future. That one's going to be a really long one though because there are a lot of tames in this game. So if you guys like it, let me know and I'll make another one. It's been a while since I made a video. I've been really busy. I have a job now. I got kids. No, I'm joking. I have a job now. I got a lot of stuff to do. I've been kind of burnt out of ARK. It's honestly like I just like don't feel like playing ARK that much. I've been on and off a little bit. It's hard to get the content, especially with like people like to follow me around in games, and it's very hard to get content that feels legitimate and feels good. Because there's people following me around, it's very annoying, you know? And if you're one of those people, just try to avoid doing that, because it really doesn't, like I love to see people who are like, recognize me, and they're like, oh yeah, man, I love to watch your videos, but I don't like it when people follow me around. You're actually really not helping. You're making my life a lot more difficult, which I'm sure is not what you're trying to do, but if you do join my games intentionally, please stop doing that. Very annoying. So if you guys enjoyed, we're so close to 10k, so you can consider this the 10k special because we're so fucking close. And we'll probably hit 10k off this video if it does well, which I'm hoping it does, because this is a new video. It's never really been done on ARK before. I looked for tier lists, didn't really find any, so it should be the first tier list. I think I said before I put this tier list in the description. That should be all, guys. Catch y'all later.